Hello everyone. Guys, can you see me? Can you hear me? Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome to Sunya IAS. Hello everyone. I'm sorry, there was a slight technical glitch from my end, but we have fixed it, and let us start our session now. Okay, I will be looking at my phone to see all what you're writing. Okay, so today we are launching the daily practice program for our CSAT. Why has but we have fixed it? Hello, welcome once again. Now, why do we need to practice CSAT all the time? 4 or 5 years ago, it was a trend that no one used to prepare for CSAT. People just used to prepare for the GS paper, the first paper. And you know, CSAT was a cakewalk. But since last 4 to 5 years, we have seen a changing trend in this thing. And what is the trend? The CSAT paper, which was just supposed to be a qualifying paper, is becoming very difficult. There are examples of students who have been scoring, you know, say 140, 130 in the first paper, are unable to qualify the CSAT paper, which requires only 33%. So that is why it has become pivotal. ठीक है? Just give me a minute. Lagging કે છે? નેટ નું બરાબર છે? Okay. Okay, guys, we have done some programming. Is it working fine now? I think it should be working fine. Chalo. Everyone, let's start. Let's not get into these technical glitches. They are a part of today's technology. So let us focus on the session. You can hear me, you can see me. So focus on what we are studying today. Okay, so let us first discuss, and today I will be teaching you reading comprehension. Okay, a lot of us have solved the reading comprehension passages in our school, but they used to be very simple. Okay, they used to be very simple. But if you go to the UPSC examination hall and look at the reading comprehension, you will not be able to understand which option to take, because we are not preparing accordingly. So this course is being conducted exactly as per the changed UPSC demand. Okay, let us just have a brief look about what we are going to do in this program. Okay, good evening guys, let us start, come on. So if I talk about comprehension, there are, you know, couple of types of students. Students who are good at maths and bad at English, or there are students who are bad at maths and good at English. So this session will be helpful for all type of students. Okay, if you are weak in English, doesn't matter, just doing this will help you solve at least, okay, 19 jitne RC things very easily. Why? Because we are going to decode how to solve a reading comprehension wala question today. We will start. Today is the first session. So let me give you a brief idea. है ना? Chalo. Now, what is the importance? Why do you need to do this? If you look at last many years papers, at least 17, 18, 19 questions are asked. And out of these 19 questions, after you complete this RC course with me, you will be at least, okay, you will be at least be able to do 15 RC questions effectively. Now, there are a few myths about RC. So, we are going to debunk the myths and give you some facts. Okay, usually we all think that RC takes a lot of time, but at Sunya we have done a lot of offline classes also, and after understanding how to approach RC, you will be effectively able to solve every question in 1 to 2 minutes. Yes, we have done the time based exercise and it is not going to matter. Okay, so stay focused. I'm going to tell you how to approach in a very simple method, right? Yeah, he's everyone's favorite. So now the first question, I'm going to ask you a question and I need answer from all of you. It is going to be a very interactive session. I am not just going to stand here and blabber all on my own, right? So first question, when you see an RC question in the examination, what do you do first? Do you read the passage first? Or you read the options first? Guys, tell me, what do you do? What do you do? Do you read the options first or the passage first? Tell me. Okay. Okay. So we are not doing any of those things. Neither we are reading the passage nor the options. We are going to read the question. Okay, now a lot of you are pretty confused. You are not doing any of these things. I will tell you today what exactly you have to do, and RC answers will come like this. Trust me on that. Okay. So this is the strategy which I'll be elaborating through examples. So we are not reading the passage first, no, nor the options first. We will be focusing on the question. Okay, now what do I mean when I say look at the question? Yes, let us understand that also. There are a lot of keywords in the question. There are a lot of keywords in the question. The examiner might ask you the central idea of the passage or assumptions that have to be made out of the passage. But what mistake we are doing till now is we are not understanding the demand of the question. The demand of the question is you have to find a particular thing out of the options which correlates with the passage. But no, we are in so much of a hurry that when we have the CSAT paper in our hands, we have only one thing going on, that time is less. I won't be able to do a lot of things. So let me just hurry up. Okay. So the first myth that we all have in our mind is that reading comprehension, excuse me guys, will waste a lot of time. What do we have in mind? That reading comprehension wastes a lot of time. Guys, if you read like I teach you to read reading comprehension, you will not face this situation. Reading comprehension passages, you can get answer within 2 minutes. But for that, you'll have to come to all the sessions and practice the way we ask you to. ठीक है? आगे. Another important thing that we all have in our mind is that one should have a fabulous vocabulary. Like Shashi Tharoor ji, he is a symbol for fabulous vocabulary. Okay. So we are not focusing on vocabulary. If there is some technical word, specific word, then UPSC gives you that information that what does it mean in a bracket. And if UPSC doesn't give you that in a bracket, then it's okay. Once you read the entire sentence or the following sentence, you will be able to, okay, understand the meaning of that word. So we are not falling in the trap, and we are not going to be scared that I don't have a fabulous vocabulary. Okay, second myth debunked. Now the third myth, except for assumption in any of the keywords, we are not going to assume our GS knowledge and tick answer according to our extended GS knowledge. You getting my point? Everything will be based on the passage and we are not using our extra knowledge for the same. Only if assumption is asked, then we are going to apply our brains. Otherwise, we are going to keep our knowledge restricted to the passage. Very simple. 3 things we have to keep in mind. Okay. Now, what are the various keywords? So, summing it all together, within 2 minutes, you will get your answer if you practice with us. No need of a fancy vocabulary, not extending the GS thing beyond the assumption keyword. Okay, very simple, very simple, very simple. Now, what are the various types of keywords and why do we get confused with the options? Okay, one very much asked keyword is central idea is asked every year. Okay, assumptions are asked every year and there are multiple questions with the keyword assumption. Even inference, it is asked every year. Now, corollary. Corollary is asked usually every alternate year if you study the pattern. You know, if you study the pattern of the last few years, every alternate year. Last year corollary was not asked, so this year there is a chance corollary might be asked. Crux of the matter. Okay, so first of all, critical message, sums up the given passage, critical inference, solutions, suggestions, these are the keywords. So first of all, for you to be able to understand the keyword, differentiate between different keywords, सबसे पहले we have to understand the meaning of each keyword and we will have to understand one more thing. What is that? The grammatical rules. Okay, so today and in every class we will be doing 2 keywords. Okay, we will be doing 2 keywords always in every class. We will be differentiating between them. Okay, we will be understanding the meaning and we will also be understanding the grammatical technicalities behind that keyword so that when you look at a passage, you have a very clear idea in your mind. Okay? Yes, Swati, this session will be available on the website, on the YouTube channel. Now, let us come here. Let us start. Okay. So right now, you all are facing this issue. Whenever you look at a passage and then you look at the options, everything looks similar. Tell me how many of you face the same problem? Tell me how many of you face the same problem? I think all of us face the same problem, but after doing what we suggest you to do, you will get out of this situation. Okay, so today we are going to do 2 keywords as I told you. We will be doing central idea and the second one we will do is crux. What are we doing? Central idea and crux. Done. 2 things. I need all of you to write in the comment box which 2 keywords we are going to focus on today. Okay? So, first of all, we are going to understand what is a central idea in a passage. Now, it is not very difficult. Central idea is one of the easiest keywords that UPSC would give you. Why? We have been, reading a lot of poems, lot of paragraphs in our school, and we have started to decipher what's the central idea. So, let's take an example. Okay. The first thing would be, let's think about a poem. I think one of my favorite poems back from the school days is Blow, blow thou winter wind, thou art so unkind, not so unkind as man's ingratitude. Right? So if you have to find the central idea of this poem, what it would be? That the author is trying to write about the ungrateful nature of human beings. Right? Then we have this, all of your favorite lines. I think all the aspirants write this, thing in their status at least once in their preparation phase. What is that? Miles to go before I sleep. The woods are dark, deep and something, but miles to go before I sleep. It means that there's a lot of hard work to be done in your life, right? Very simple. Central idea is one of the simplest. But now there is one technical issue with the central idea thing that I'm going to explain to you. Okay. So now when I talk about the central idea thing, the first thing we have to understand is that in a that in a passage there will be several sentences. Right? A passage is made up of several sentences. These sentences, okay, all these sentences will revolve around sort of a main theme. Okay, that main theme will be your central idea, and there will be certain peripheral ideas. What will there be? Peripheral ideas. Now you will understand these when we do the worksheet better. I will explain each and every component to you. So what trap UPSC sets for you is, UPSC will put one of or two of the options from the peripheral idea. Okay, UPSC will put two of the options or one of the options from the peripheral idea thing. So you will find that it is written in the passage, so it will be the correct answer. But don't fall for it. Whenever you are ticking, please write this down, all of you, in your book or whatever notes you're making right now. Whenever we are looking for a central idea, it will never be explicitly mentioned in the passage. I am saying it again, central idea will never be explicitly mentioned in the passage. So if there is an option which is explicitly mentioned in the passage, we will eliminate that option. If there is an option wherein one of the ideas, one of the many sentences are written in a different way, we are going to eliminate that option, and any option which has most of the components of the passage, है ना, will be our central idea. Okay, now let us go ahead. Second keyword we are doing is crux. Okay, now let me explain you the crux point in a better way. When I say crux, what do we mean generally by it? Say for example, a lot of us, we live with our parents, है ना? Most of us, I would say, all of us rather. Maybe you go back home from your school, college or your coaching. You go home and start telling your mom or your dad about your day. Right? So you're trying to tell something that, you know, I went there, I did this, I did this, I did this. But then your dad or mom would say that, okay, cut it short. I'm also tired. Tell me the crux of your day. So you will have to highlight the most important part of your day. Okay, central idea will be an overview kind of a thing, and crux will be the most important part. Getting my point? Crux will be the most important part. Please write these things down. These are technical things which pertain to our keywords. In every session, I will be giving you these kind of things. Okay, let's take another idea for crux. I will explain more objectively. Okay, say for example, I need everyone in this visualization mode now. Okay, this is a great example. You are a DM, a collector, and your peon comes running to you, and he says that, you know, sir, there was this guy who applied for the subsidy. He's a farmer, and his application didn't go through, he didn't submit enough papers, and he did not get a subsidy, and right now he's standing in the compound threatening everyone. So you understand that there is some situation and this guy is going on and on about it. So you will tell that person, tell me the crux of the matter. So you will say that there's a farmer in the compound who's trying to commit suicide because he didn't get subsidy. Right? So crux will be you are downsizing everything to the main part of the passage. Clear? So now we understood the difference between two very similar keywords. है ना? So now let's get started. Let's do a few examples. Now, before we start, I need to talk to all of you about how we are going to read the passages. Like I said, we all are going to have this one thing in mind. What is that thing? That I don't have time. Okay, so I'll tell you how you read a passage in the examination versus how you need to read it in the examination. Okay. India is a land of poetry. It is not a country famous for its ancient culture alone. It also presents to mankind the history of several races. Guys, tell me, do you guys read at this speed or not? I know all of you read. Right. I know all of you will read at this pace. But if you read at this pace, what will happen is you will not be able to absorb the content. Then you will read the options. Then you will get confused. You will again read it at the same speed, not comprehending things. Then you will fold the page or mark a circle that I will come to this passage later on, and you will end up reading the passage 3 or 4 times minimum. Okay, minimum 3 or 4 times you will be reading it. Clear? Now let us go ahead. How are you supposed to read? Okay, how are you supposed to read? Let us see. So I need all of you to read at this pace, and we are going to also understand how to bundle up information, how to save time, how to build the passage in your mind. Okay, let us see. Guys, just a second. So, how are we going to read? I need all of you to read at this pace. India is a land of poet's dream. So now you should have in your mind that we are going to talk about India. Okay. Aage. It is not a country famous for its ancient culture alone. So now the second idea that you build. Now the second idea that you build should be that we are going to talk about the culture of India. Okay? It also presents to mankind the history of several races, differing in culture and religion, entering the country from time to time and striving for political and cultural supremacy. So here, okay, so here what we have done is, we are talking about India, that it is a melting pot of several cultures, that people are coming Guys, I'm extremely sorry for the lag. Like I told you, there was a bit of a technical glitch. So please bear with me. Listen to me. Okay, listening will help solve all of your problems. Okay. And I need all of you to get your worksheets in your hand so that you can read properly. Okay. Listening is more important in this video. We are not doing any math that you will skip a step. Okay, listen to me very, very, very carefully. Okay, so here idea number one is we're talking about culture of India. Then we're talking about that a lot of people came and they fought for supremacy. Again, foreigners often fail to appreciate the vast magnitude of this country. So then we're talking about the appreciation part. It has been aptly termed as a subcontinent. Okay, the size of India equals Europe without Russia. है ना? Not only this, so now we are also talking about the size, not appreciating it. Okay, इसके आगे guys, I need all of you to get your worksheets. We have uploaded it in Telegram, है ना? Not only this, but India is also world in itself. So we are also saying that it's not just that we are large, we have cultural differences, but we are an entire world in ourselves. Okay, आगे. Nearly 1/6 of human race inhabits this country. So we're talking about how many people live here. So basically an idea should start brewing in your mind that we're talking about the culture, the appreciation, number of people living here. Numerous races speaking countless languages are professionally nearly all the religions of the world reside there. Okay, India's natural resources are so vast and varied that she can be economically self-sufficient. It is also the cradle of a great civilization which in its origin, at least as ancient as that of Egypt or Babylonia, at the same time she was not cut off from the rest of the world. So now we are back to the ancient roots of India. Okay, India also claims and has the right to take pride in an ancient and old age education system. The idea of education was culture, not literacy. The main idea was to bring to the humblest man the highest products of human mind and heart. The system looked to the development of the self and enable an individual to lead the highest possible life in the circumstances where he was placed. Now we are supposed to find the central idea. ठीक है? Now when I say we are supposed to find the central idea, you all must understand that you have to build the idea. We read one sentence, absorbed it, we built another idea on it, and we have to have the entire picture. So when you read this thing, you have to read at a speed wherein an entire picture is created in your mind. Okay, so now let's see, we have to find the central idea, right? That's the first example. So let us read this. Throughout, now I am going to be solving these questions with you like we are in the examination hall. So get your pen and paper working. Okay, throughout history, India has been a subcontinent that has enticed and welcomed a magnitude of races and religions. Now guys, remember I told you about peripheral ideas, right? So this is one of the ideas mentioned in the passage. It does not sum up the entire passage. Why? Because we're talking about the education system, not just this parameter that we have just welcomed people. So we are going to eliminate this option. Why? Because this is a peripheral idea, not the main idea. India's massive size, abundant natural resources, and rich ancient civilization make it a subcontinent that can be regarded as a whole world in its own. Now guys, are we talking about that we are the best, or are we in a comparison mode? Here if you look at the components, we are comparing our education system, we are comparing the population, we are comparing the population that we have, है ना? So I am going to negate it because it is also one of the peripheral ideas. Are you guys now getting more clarity that how are we eliminating the options? Because in RC you will have to rely upon these technicalities. Okay, आगे, India's reputation as a land of poets' dream can be attributed to its ancient culture and education system. Now the poet's dream was just an opening act. right? It is not the part of the main central idea, but still I have not read D, so I am not going to openly negate this, because in UPSC you will never find a perfect option. You will have to settle with a nearly perfect or most relevant option. Okay, so here India's culture and history are unparalleled to any part of the world and has developed in a melting pot of cultures, right? So we are saying culture and history are unparalleled because we have compared and has developed into a melting pot of cultures. So this option, okay, is talking about 2 to 3 ideas combined together, and you can say this thing and this person will understand what would be the content of the whole passage. Okay, so our answer here is D, because it is more relevant. We are going to do only UPSC level examples, nothing less than that. So this was your first question, and I'm very glad that a lot of you answered correctly. Okay. Now, next slide. Okay, sorry. Next slide. Question number 2. Okay. Beta, we have a CSAT course. Okay, we have a CSAT course, CSAT with IITians, and in that we have done it with PYQs. In daily practice program, we will be working on new passages, right? We will be working on new passages. So this program will have new examples. If you want to understand via PYQs, then you have to go to the CSAT by team of IITians program. Now let's focus on question number 2. So first of all, what are we reading, guys? What are we reading when we look at the question? We are going to see the keyword in the question. Here, what is asked? Crux is asked, not central idea. Now you understand what I'm trying to say. Otherwise, in this passage also, you would have been trying to find the central idea. Okay? Let us go to this passage now. Okay. Happily, human progress has made this description of state-society relations sound quite anachronistic. Now, if you don't know the meaning of this word, right, we had this photo of Shashi Tharoor. Now, only Shashi Tharoor would know the meaning of this word, not people like you and me. Okay, so we don't have to really worry about it. Okay, just forget it. We are just going to talk about the state-society relations. Keep that in mind. Even through fundamental alterations in the balance of power between governors and the governed are happenings of contemporary history. So basically, we are going to talk about governance. Basically, we are going to talk about governance at some level. The first institutional check on sovereign power is arguably the establishment of the English Parliament in what British historians term the Glorious Revolution. Tired of unending wars that it was asked to fund through people and treasure, and embodied nobility asserted its right to be consulted by the monarch in matters of war and the purse. So we're trying to talk about a balance of power between the commoners and the people who hold power. And the example here is of the British monarchy. Aage. But for the non-lords of British Isles, precious little changed. So it is saying that even this glorious revolution did not change or did not make any change in the lives of common people like you and me. Okay? That was the late 1600s, and while the French and the American revolutions of a century later spawned political theory of the highest order, proclaiming the inalienable freedoms of all men created equal, and the truth is that the era of colonialism and continued exclusion of women as well as racial region minorities meant that it was not until the mid 1950s that the revolution only dreamt about for millennia before became reality. Too long a sentence to comprehend. Now when you have this kind of a sentence, you will have to read it again. So what will you do? Here we are going to bundle this information that in this part of the thing, what we are talking about types of differences. Write it down on your paper like this, that we are talking about types of differences, so that you don't have to read this much passage again. Okay, this is one of the tricks to save your time in the examination. Bundle similar information together. You won't be able to do this in all the passages, but some of them you will be able to do this. Now we are supposed to find the crux. Okay, all of you are getting very smart. Option A. But now see, I need all of you to participate and tell me that why are we negating option number A? Why are we going to eliminate that? If you understand the reason for eliminating an option, reaching the answer is pretty simple. Okay. It will stay on the channel, beta. The advancement of human society has rendered the depiction of the relationship between the state and the society outdated and no longer relevant. Now guys, this statement is going out of context. We are nowhere talking about that the relationship is irrelevant. We are talking about different forms. है ना? We are talking about different forms of it. Political theory proclaimed the inalienable freedoms of all men created equal during the French and the American Revolution. Now, there is nowhere mention of the French Revolution, is there? Also, we are not talking about political theory right now. So, this one is going out of context. Right? Aage. Yes. The balance of power between governors and the governed has undergone fundamental alterations throughout contemporary history. Now, what happens here? This is explicitly mentioned. Right? This is explicitly mentioned. So, in a crux, it is not relevant that you negate something which is explicitly mentioned, because when we discuss the example of the peon running to your office and telling you the crux will have the component that there is a farmer in the compound who is committing suicide. So we are going to put a question mark. If we don't find any more relevant statement, we are going to stick to this one. Okay, aage. The glorious revolution empowered the nobility to participate in the matters of war and the purse. Now, this is one of the ideas. It is not the main problem or the most important part of the message. The most important part of the message is that we are talking about the power play between people who are governed and people who are governors. So this is how you find the idea to the question. Now moving to the next slide, question number 3. Okay, so what are we reading first here? First thing we are reading here is that we have to find the central idea. What do we need to find? The central idea is what we are looking for. Okay? So now here, let's start reading again. Now I need all of you to read it with me in the way I read it. है ना? The mantra of cooperative and competitive federalism has been reshaping our governance mechanisms and policy making across the board. So now we are going to talk about federalism. This idea should be in your mind. Then we are going to build new ideas in our mind. To continue this momentum, the next necessary step would be to foster sub-federalism. That is, extend the idea of competitive federalism to competition between states and cities and among cities. So now we are talking about deepening the federalism, taking it to the third tier from the second tier itself. So, India's urban governance and programming can especially benefit from a framework that incorporates sub-federalism into the cooperative and competitive federal structure. So, yes, we're talking about sub-federalism, a newer concept for all of us. Urban development is one of the priority areas of the government, given the rapid urbanization that India is undergoing. So now we are talking about urbanization. With the current pace of urban expansion, we are expected to have more than half of our population living in urban areas after 2 decades. Undoubtedly, we have benefited from the urbanization as evidenced by our high economic growth, but it has also brought along a new set of challenges such as congestion, pollution, and increased energy use, to name a few. So we're talking about taking federalism to the last year, and then we are talking that it has two sides, beneficial as well as it has negative impacts. So let's start reading this passage. Sub-federalism can address these the challenges by promoting competition and innovation at local level. Now, if the tagline, if the keyword was suggestion or solution, then we could have gone for this, but this is totally out of context. And now what is this? This is totally out of context. Second, promoting the idea of sub-federalism to expand the concept of competitive federalism among states, cities, and even within cities has its benefits and challenges. Okay, so let us put a question mark here, because it talks about sub-federalism, it talks about cities, it talks about benefits and challenges. Okay, we'll put a question mark. We will not eliminate a statement which resonates with the passage until we find a better option. India's urban governance and programming can benefit greatly from a framework that incorporates sub-federalism. We are not talking right now just about it. This is a peripheral idea. So we are going to eliminate this. One more. Fostering sub-federalism can help India build more resilient and prosperous cities that improve the quality of life of all residents. Now, if assumption was asked, then the answer would have been D. But what are we finding? The central idea. Central idea we are looking at. So, this is one option which is talking about almost everything that we just read in the passage. Clear? So the answer here is B. Yes, guys, the answer is B. And I am glad all of you are doing great. Okay. Another question. Question number, I have lost track of the number, so let's just read it. The question whether the rich are more satisfied with their lives is often taken for granted. Now today we are doing passages from almost all subjects. We have also taken a passage from your ethics subject because it is one of UPSC's favorite passage. Okay. But C is not explicitly mentioned in the last question because we spoke about benefits and challenges. It is some kind of a thing that is twisted. The later half was twisted. Okay, let us come here. The question. Guys, let me just get the link up and running again. Just a second. Okay, I'm back. So let's start reading this. How are we going to read this? Slowly, one sentence by one sentence, and we are going to fix the idea in our mind. The question: whether the rich are more satisfied with their lives is often taken for granted, even though surveys like Gallup World Poll shows that the relationship between subjective well-being and income is often weak, except in low middle income countries in Africa and South Asia. So we are talking about that there is no relation. Okay, we are talking that there is no relation between what? Income and happiness. Okay. So let us read it further. But it is also establishing that in weaker countries, okay, they might be correlated. So let us go ahead. Researcher Daniel and his collaborators, for example, report that the correlation between household income and reported life satisfaction or happiness with life typically ranges from 0.15 to 0.30. There are a few possible reasons. First, growth in the income mostly has a transitionary effect on individuals' reported life satisfaction as they adapt to material goods. Second, relative income, rather than the level of income, affects well-being. Earning more or less than others looms larger than how much one earns. Very relatable. We all live in this world, right? Yes, we do. Aage. Third, through average life satisfaction in countries tends to rise with GDP per capita at low levels of income. There is little increase in life satisfaction once GDP per capita exceeds $10,000 in purchasing power parity. Now, I need all of you to observe one thing. I did not try to read this thing. Right, it's difficult for me to read the spelling or pronounce it. It happens with a lot of people. I am a fellow student with you right now and we're solving it together. So in the examination, don't get stuck on pronouncing this word or reading this word. Just let it be. Okay, you cannot read certain things, let it be. Now we are coming here. Again, we are finding the central idea. That is why I didn't read it. Now let us see what will be the central idea of this session. The effect, okay, let us see, of income growth on life satisfaction may be limited and other factors may play a more important role in determining overall well-being. Okay, it talks about the correlation and also talks about other factors. Shall I put a question mark? Yes. I will not eliminate this option because it resonates with the idea that is given in the passage. Okay, let's go ahead. People tend to adapt quickly to material goods and experience diminishing returns to happiness. Now, this is too, extreme. It is like very authoritative. Here we are talking about a survey. So I'm going to negate because the tone of the sentence is not matching the passage. Okay. And we are not just talking about adapting to material goods also. Aage. Contrary to popular belief, the connection between income and life satisfaction is not as robust as typically assumed. Okay. So now here they are saying that, this idea is a peripheral idea. Why? Because it is writing what is written in the first two lines in a different way. In the passage, we are elaborating more on other factors that influence a person's well-being. Okay? So, this is not a central idea, rather this is a peripheral idea. While income is necessary to meet basic needs, it may not be sufficient to achieve a fulfilling and satisfying life. So now here we have confusion between A and B. You will stand on this crossroads multiple times in the examination. What you need to do is you need to put a quick glance at the passage. We are talking about different factors in 3/4 of the passage, right? And not about the basic need or the satisfying life thing. So this here, guys, will be your correct answer. Okay, in the exam there will be no perfect options. You will get stuck with 2 options. You'll have to look at the passage again, but it will be a glance. When will it be a glance? If you have read the passage, comprehended the information, absorbed the information, build a picture in your mind, then only this will happen. Okay. Now let's go to another question. Guys, if you have any doubts or queries, do keep on asking me. I'm looking at the phone because I need to answer your questions. I want every student to understand these 2 keywords perfectly before we end the session. Okay. So now question number, again I've forgotten. Let's focus here. The future of the Quad and its ability to influence stability in the Indo-Pacific region will surely evolve. So now we're talking about Quad. We all know what is Quad, right? Association of 4 countries. And we're talking about the stability. This is going to be an IR polity kind of a passage. The 4 nations are clearly aligned in democratic values and in their desire to reign in a common adversary in a belligerent and expansionist China. So we are talking about Quad versus China debate. Okay, you know what? A lot of times it will happen that you would have read this passage as an editorial and this comes up. So don't try to link the rest of the part of the editorial with this passage. Okay? So now here we are talking about the purpose of Quad. Okay? Yet China's role in international trade and its critical position in global supply chains will complicate any outright geopolitical orchestration of it. So now we're talking about the global supply chain and China's position. Okay? Aage. The Quad and the other democratic countries, including those of the European Union, have a major challenge in balancing a Cold War and warm handshake with China at the same time. So again, we're talking about more geopolitical situations. Okay, these RCs are not very peculiar like your school RCs. They will look at things, okay, from an overview. Okay, so try to understand what is the actual idea behind every sentence. Aage. China's position and its over muscle flexing may also evolve on the basis of other countries' relations to its rise and actions. Q sera sera. Now, I don't need anyone to, blend your minds over this phrase. Forget this is written. I don't know what is the meaning. You don't know what is the meaning. Let's forget it. We have such a huge passage. Without this small phrase, we will be easily able to decipher the passage. Lot of you have started writing the answer, and let's understand how did you eliminate the other options. A. The Quad nations are aligned in their attempt to restrain China's belligerent expansion in the Indo-Pacific region. Peripheral idea, for sure. Aage. The Quad's ability to influence stability in the Indo-Pacific region will evolve as China's actions and responses from other countries unfold. Okay, let us put a question mark. It at least, gives the entire picture. Let's look for other options. China's assertive action and ascent could potentially alter the power equilibrium not only in the Indo-Pacific but also globally. So yes, this is more what the entire passage is talking about. But still we will read the fourth option. The Quad countries' shared democratic principles are integral to their coalition in countering China's aggressive conduct. This is also a peripheral idea, and our option C, okay, gives you a whole picture of what the author is trying to say in this passage. Clear, guys? So here, what is our answer? Our answer is going to be C, because here by giving several examples, we are saying that if China is rattled in any way, it will impact the world, not just the Indo-Pacific. Yes, C is the answer. Let's go ahead to the next question. India's agriculture sector has been facing a range of challenges. So now we are talking about the agriculture sector, but what are we supposed to find? Central idea of the passage. Challenges. Now from here, you have to bundle up information. You will understand all these things once you practice a lot. Okay, you have to practice. From climate change and water scarcity to economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. You don't need to read this again. Why? Because these are challenges. For the central idea, you will just have to know what it is talking about. To address these challenges and ensure sustainable growth in the sector, the government has implemented a series of reforms. Government's assertive role is written, including the introduction of new laws related to agriculture, marketing and contract farming. The farming laws, however, these reforms have been met with resistance from farmers and their organizations who argue that they will result in the exploitation of farmers by large companies. So the government is acting towards it, but the farmers are opposing it. The government must listen to the concerns of the farmers and work towards a solution that addresses their grievances while also promoting sustainable growth in agriculture sector. So here, solution of the problem is given. ठीक है? What types of challenges are given? The government's contribution is given. Then the issue is given that the farmers are opposing it. And the solution is also given. So what should the central idea look like? The central idea should have these components for sure. Okay, let us see. Agrarian distress can be addressed in a sustainable way by involving stakeholders. Yes, we're talking about distress. We are talking about addressing it. We are talking about it being sustainable. We're talking about involving people. Why involving people? Because here people were not involved. They were constantly, what were they doing? They're agitating organizations and farmers. The government is also doing something. So there are multiple stakeholders we're talking about here. But still we will put a question mark here. Agrarian reforms, putting a question mark here. Reforming India's agriculture sector needs strong political will. It is saying that there is a strong political will and the government has made a law. Agrarian reforms meet various challenges from various stakeholders in the process but can be overlooked. We are not talking about overlooking them. We are talking about solving them by involving people. The vulnerability of farmers to their profession is due to the government policies and their non-implementation. Clear, guys? So what have we learned? Yes, what have we learned? We are going to look at the components of a passage and then find a suitable statement which comprises of these components. And to get your most of the RCs correct, you all need to do one thing. What is that one thing? You have to practice PYQs. Okay, that is one way. But then I would request all of you to look at the RC official key given by UPSC. There will be lot of books in the market wherein the answers won't be matching the UPSC key. So whenever you are solving any PYQ, please look at the authentic UPSC key. Okay. Now let's look at this question. For about 25,000 years, we have coexisted with dogs. Human-dog relationship we're going to talk about. The recent case, right? Dogs protect us and give us emotional support and companionship. They are loyal, friendly, and intelligent. We are now witnessing a disintegration of this beautiful bond. So, what are we talking about? We're talking about our bonds with the dog. Okay. The answer for this one is A. Okay, the answer for this one is A. Okay, Veenu. Chalo, let's come here now. So we're talking about our relationship with the bonds and our dogs and how dogs have been important for us. Intolerance is growing not only towards dog, but also cat, cows, birds and other creatures. So from the idea of just one creature, the author just expanded the horizon to more creatures. We then extend the same intolerance towards friends, family and neighbors, co-workers, co-passengers and strangers. So we are intolerant basically. That's what the passage is trying to say. It has also been proven that when a person is mean to animals, he is also mean to his own kind. Generally said, okay. Resident welfare associations are often the instigators of violence. So now this is one idea about intolerance. Second, the person who stands for election in these societies knows that he has no real power, no control over maintenance, electricity, building, sale, rent, whatever. So basically no power. So we are not reading this information again if we have to. Okay. Aage. What he can control is the choice of the guard at the gate and whether dogs should be allowed inside. So this person has limited power. That is what we are trying to affirm. Power demands that an enemy be identified. So dogs living there peacefully become the target. And by constantly heckling them, we make dogs nervous. Residents have told the police that the child who was bitten to death in Hyderabad would constantly beat and tease 3 animals. The residents repeatedly warned the child's father. On top of that, the father, the watchman, had refused to let anyone feed the dogs for 3 days. Then the society chairman secretary targeted the humans who fed the dogs and made the community safe. Then came the mobs instigated by the statements of violence on group chats. When the RWAs go for election, both group with each other on level of violence they will inflict on animals, whether dogs, cats or pigeons. So here, this passage has many components. Okay, so finding the central idea here is going to be a little bit more difficult. Let us see. Dogs, है ना? And humans have a long history of peaceful bond which has been disrupted due to intolerance of humans. Peripheral idea, yes. The public associations have real power while the elected individuals are ceremonial heads. Now, are we just talking about power here? But still, if we don't find an appropriate thing, we will have to come back to this. Okay, let's come here. Human nature is plagued by intolerance towards all living species, and this will cause a huge imbalance in the society. Human nature, intolerance towards everyone. And here we are talking about certain sort of an imbalance. So, I am going to put a question mark here. And I have found a better option than B, so I am going to negate B now. Social media enhances the public sentiment and gives a negative or positive shape to any event. Now, if you had to select an inference, then this thing ka inference is this D statement is the inference, one of the inferences of the passage. But what are we supposed to find? The central idea. So now guys, you're getting initially what you used to do in the exam. Read the passage, read this, try to select something. And since you did not know the keyword, what would happen? You would end up picking the wrong option. So tell me, how many of you have done that already? How many of you have done that in the last year's paper? Lot of you. Let's not say I did it. Okay, let's come to this part. Next question, question number 8. Ethics and integrity are essential for the smooth functioning of any society or organization. Yes, they are, well indeed. In the current scenario where corruption and unethical practices are rampant, it is essential to foster a culture of ethics and integrity in all spheres of life. So, we're talking about the importance of ethics and culture. Once you will do enough practice, okay, once you do enough practice, what is happening? What will happen? You will be able to understand the components of every passage, and a central idea will become very easy for all of you. The government must lead by example and promote transparency, accountability, and ethical practices in all its dealings. So now we're talking about the government. It must also take steps to ensure that those who engage in corrupt practices are held accountable and punished accordingly. So talking about the steps government should take. Individuals too have a responsibility to uphold ethical values in their personal and professional lives. This includes being fair, honest, transparent in all their dealings, respecting the rule of law. So here we are talking about things to do. Furthermore, education and awareness are crucial in promoting ethics and integrity. Now, role of education. Schools or universities must incorporate ethics and values-based education into their curricula, and organization must provide training and support to their employees to promote ethical behavior. So what's happening here? We are talking about involving a lot of stakeholders. We're talking about the importance, the steps government has taken, things we need to do ethically, and how to inculcate it in an individual. So now let's look at the options. Let me just erase this so that we all can read properly. Okay, promoting ethics and integrity is crucial for the progress and development of any society or organization. We are going to negate this because this is explicit. Also, it is a peripheral idea. It is the responsibility of individuals, organizations, government to uphold ethical values and promote a culture of integrity in all spheres of life. This resonates with the passage, so I am going to put a question mark. Inculcation of moral values in education can ensure a better and functional society. Okay, we can put a question mark here also. Being ethical means being fair, honest and transparent in all dealings, respecting the rule of law. Isn't this explicit? And isn't this also a peripheral idea? Anything that is explicitly given will be a peripheral idea. So yes, this thing talks about the role of people and what we have to do to promote ethical practices. Awesome guys, I'm very happy with the way you're doing. Keep it up. Now the second last question for today. Okay, let's just get done with this quickly. The G20. But what are we supposed to find? We're supposed to find the crux. What is crux? the most important or the crucial issue or the part of the component of the passage. Again, the G20 or Group of 20 is a forum for international cooperation on economic and financial issues. It comprises, so what is G20? That is what it's stating. Of 19 countries in the European Union representing 80%. So this says what? This gives the importance of G20. India is a member of G20 and the country has been actively involved in its deliberations and decisions. So now, India talk we are doing. The G20 was formed in 1999 in the aftermath of Asian financial crisis with the aim of bringing together the world's major economies to address global economic issues. So now, purpose, genesis. Since then, the G20 has emerged as a key forum for international economic cooperation and its agenda has expanded to include issues such as climate change, energy and sustainable development. ठीक है? India's participation in the G20 is important as the country is one of the fastest growing economies in the world and is expected to play a significant role in shaping the global economy in the coming years. India has been actively involved in the G20's discussions on issues such as global economic governance, trade. So here, don't read much for it. It talks about the issues. So what all did we talk about? The importance of G20, the genesis of G20, India and India's role. So let us see if we find a sentence resonating with it. The G20 is a key forum for international economic cooperation and India's participation in it is important for shaping the global economic agenda. Sounds quite like this. Crux is being asked. What is the answer? Chalo, a lot of you are still confused. What did we take as the answer? What was the crux here? What was the crux here? If this will be the crux, this will be the central idea. Depending upon what keyword is asked, you will have a separate answer. Okay, depending upon what is asked, you will have a separate answer. ठीक है? Depending on what is asked, the answer is going to be different. That is why understanding the keyword is very important. Chalo, let's go back to question number 9. So let me erase this again so that we can all read it properly. So I am going to put a question mark because just talking about it's a key forum, India's participation, importance and global thing. Okay. After this, India's economic development strategy has to be aligned with the goals of G20 for better growth prospects. Now this statement only talks about India. Okay. आगे, India must continue to actively engage with the G20 and advocate for policies that promote inclusive and sustainable economic growth. So now let us see here. What is asked? Crux is asked. है ना? Crux is asked. So if central idea was asked, this would have been the option. If central idea was asked, this would have been the option. But as crux is asked, okay, as crux is asked, our answer will change. What is the crux? The most important part. So let's put a question mark. India must continue to actively engage with G20 and advocate for policies that promote inclusive and sustainable growth. Now, it is one of the agendas, so we just don't have to push for it. It is already one of the agendas. G20 has emerged as a key forum for international economic cooperation, and its agenda has expanded to include issues. This is explicitly given. So, if crux is to be found, B is your option. If central idea is to be found, A is your option. Now, are you guys getting clarity between crux and central idea? The last few statements, I have put both the answers as options. So now when you look at, look at your examination paper, and if there is this situation, you will be easily be able to understand what is crux and what is central idea. Okay? Let us go ahead. Last question for today. Last question for today. This is about the Constitution of India. Athar, Ashraf, it will come with practice beta. Okay. Now, what are we supposed to find? Oops. Let us find the central idea. Okay, we will find the central idea in this question. So, let's start. Let us start. The Constitution of India is a supreme law of the land, providing the framework for governance and protecting the rights and freedoms of its citizens. अरे भाई, thank you कहाँ आ गया? We are still working. So what are we talking about? Can I say importance of the Constitution or the purpose? Now rights and freedoms की बात आ गई. So we are going to make it is going to be a citizen-centric passage. Okay, let us see. Beta, it is explicitly given. We know it is explicitly given. Adopted on January, whatever, it has been amended over the years to reflect changing social, political, and you know guys what? All the technical glitches have to happen today. That's what I am into right now. But let's do this one. Okay, a lot of students are asking about 9th. Guys, if you have to find the crux, B is the crux. If you have to find the central idea, A is the answer. Don't get confused. Okay? Let's go ahead. Let's finish this. Come on guys, buck up. Adopted on so and so date, amended over years for changing these realities. The Constitution of India is notable for its emphasis on fundamental rights and the principles of democracy, secularism, social justice. Again, bundle up information, what principles we're talking about. It also includes provisions for separation of powers between executive, legislative, judiciary of the government, as well as provisions for protection of minority rights and promotion of affirmative action. The Constitution of India has been a cornerstone of country's stability and progress, providing a strong foundation for the development of democratic institutions and the protection of individual liberties. So what did we study here? The provisions, separation of powers, protection of rights, all these things. Yes guys, for those who have come late, after this question I will again explain the difference. Okay? However, it also faces ongoing challenges in ensuring the effective implementation of its provisions and protection of the rights of all citizens, particularly those who are marginalized or vulnerable. As such, there is continued need for the vigilant attention and efforts to strengthen the institutions and mechanisms of governance to uphold the ideas and principles enshrined in the Constitution of India. Okay, so what are we talking about? The provisions, and here we are talking that we are yet to implement those provisions, and we are finding the central idea. What does finding the central idea mean? We have to have most of the components of the passage. ठीक है, let's read the first one. India is one of the best examples of constitutionalism as there is heavy emphasis on protection of civil liberties of people. This is a peripheral idea, plus it is going to the constitutionalism, and constitutionalism means limited government. Here we are saying that we are having a tough time implementing the provisions. So this is going against what is written in the passage technically. Okay, आगे. The Constitution of India is cornerstone for the country's stability and progress. Explicitly mentioned. So what do we do with the explicitly mentioned statements? We eliminate them. To uphold the constitutional values, we need to strengthen our democratic institutions to enhance good governance. Let us put a question mark, because yes, we are talking about constitutional values. What are these provisions? Values. What are we talking about here that we have yet to implement it? So it means that yes, we have to strengthen to enhance good governance. Why good governance? Because here we are talking about the rights of the marginalized. We are talking about good governance implicitly. Question mark. The changing nature of Indian Constitution and ensured society, economic and political justice to citizens. What is this? Again, a peripheral idea. One of the ideas. So what is our answer here? Our answer here is going to be C. Now before I say bye to all of you, we have to understand one thing. What is it? Let me again tell you the difference between central idea and crux and the technicalities involved. Okay. So let's go to the next slide and do this. So here, what is central idea? Any passage will be made up of what? Any passage will be made up of many ideas. But there will be a central theme. Which we are talking about. The central theme will be accumulation of most of the ideas, right? Okay. Also, it should not be explicitly mentioned. It should not be one of the ideas. So when you read the passage, when you understand the components of the passage like we did today, you will be very easily be able to reach the central idea of the passage. Now if we talk about the crux, crux is the most important part. Crux is the most important part of what? Of the passage. The most crucial issue, the most crucial solution, the most important thing that the whole passage is trying to convey, not an overview. So central idea is going to be an overview and crux is going to be one of the parts. Okay guys? So I leave you with these two keywords. Do solve the PYQs, practice, and we will meet again and we will do 2 more keywords the next time. Okay, so it is said that one step at a time and you can scale Mount Everest. So yes, we are going to start step by step, 1 concept per day, 2 concepts per day, and ultimately by the end of your DPP April program, you will be easily able to score good marks in your CSAT and forget about, the feeling of not being able to reach the qualifying marks. If you practice with us daily, do what we ask you to do, you will definitely get good marks in your examination.